can't believe it. Football, bloody hell. But they never give in. And that's the winner.
Welcome to the American Red Devils podcast. I'm John.
I'm Alex.
And we're bringing you the best Manchester United news from this side of the pond.
Woo, sir. How we doing? It is summer, lads. It is the American Red Devils podcast, and we are just enjoying ourselves. It is a week since our season has ended. The European season has officially ended with the Champions League yesterday. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But either way, it's great to be back on the pod, talk about all things United. There's a lot going on. There's always a lot going on with Manchester United. So we got the treble, of course. We have the sale process. We have transfer muppetry, ins and outs, lots going on all around Europe. But most importantly, we're back in the bunker, enjoying ourselves. It's not quite summer yet in Northern California. We're still having a little bit of June gloom. But we hope everyone around the states, around the world, is enjoying their summer thus far, enjoying the off season. We're not going to do a season recap this week. A little bit hectic. We didn't have a chance to give it the time it needed and devotion necessary to do the best podcast possible. We're going to do that next week. This week, we're going to talk about City's treble. We're going to talk about the sale, transfers, and some other goings-ons around Manchester United.
I mean, the kit launched as well. We got to
launched.
rate the kit
Kit
here
launch.
at...
It's worse every year.
I'll tell you.
How we doing? How you feeling?
If you win the treble, it's a nice kit. That definitely helps a little bit.
Treble
I
always
think
helps.
when you win the treble, not only that kit, but next season's kit, maybe like you get 5 years.
I mean, their kit's shit, too.
The
That Puma kit is awful. That City kit, like with a
I mean, this
the
isn't
logo
a
in the
City
middle.
podcast, but you know,
He brought it up.
I'm just saying, if United won the treble, then like Phil and Gary Neville, you
What
would
about
want
that-
the kit,
what
no
about
matter
the
what it was.
second kit? What about
like
the-
that peppermint kit?
Oh
If
my-
you win the Champions League, you're buying that thing. Like, you know, right now it's the worst kit you've ever seen. You win the Champions League. All right, it doesn't look so bad. It's kind of a little statement there with the peppermint patty.
Who made that up?
I have no.
Who thought that
I
one
don't.
up? I mean, Adidas. I know some fans really like Adidas. I think they occasionally get it right. I'm definitely more of a Nike guy. I think Adidas comes off lazy sometimes. Like sometimes they're just like going through the motion. They'll use the basic framework of another kit they do for another team the year before, and then they'll just be like, oh, well, we'll just use it for Manchester United. I really don't like the one that's coming out for the upcoming season. But
It's
they
not
are popular
that
among
bad.
many of our
The
fans.
I
don't
like the
it.
home one. You know,
It just looks cheap.
Look, but when you're talking kits, you're talking transfers, and you're talking
Muppetry, baby.
You know, Champions League final. Lukaku, you know, he had a chance to play spoiler, and we all know how that went. It's amazing we got money for him. I'll tell you, that's the best deal United's done in the last decade, was getting $70 million. I heard they stiffed us on like the last 20, but at the end of the deal, selling Lukaku for anything, that was some good business from United, because he does not look in tip-top condition. Obviously, he had injuries, but
And then he was sold for $100 million like a couple years later, which is crazy.
yeah, Chelsea having a laugh at that one. But we got to talk about it, unfortunately, here in the intro. Man City win the treble. Look, I don't feel good about this one. It's kind of one of those things where you know something bad's going to happen, or you try to mentally prepare for it, but then you watch it happen, and no matter how much you prepare for it, it doesn't do it. Like, I haven't watched any of the trophy celebration. I watched the game, and I thought Inter played well. It really boring from City. I don't think they played that well. I think we were, even us not playing well against them in the FA Cup final, we were the team to do it. We just didn't have the cojones on the day, and it's really a shame, because I really don't think City played well. Inter did not have any teeth in their attack. They couldn't find goal at all. You saw Lukaku saving a guaranteed goal, missing another one from point-blank range. And that's really what helped City get it over the line. And comparing it to 1999, nothing will ever compare to the Ryan Giggs goal in the semifinals of the FA Cup against Arsenal. Also, the stoppage time winner from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the Camp Nou against Bayern Munich, another titan of European football. It wasn't a whimper of Inter Milan with Dzeko and out-of-shape Lukaku here. So
He really hung in. They hung in that game.
You know, the stars aligned for City, but I just felt like they kind of won it with a whimper, but it still hurts all United fans, because that is a very special season for us, 1999. And we did it in such a way that was incredible, defied reality at the time. And then to have them kind of just like show up in the FA Cup final against us, we just didn't play that well. And then like Inter Milan, just like Inter Milan or AC Milan, like how are they going to even compete? It just all went their way, unfortunately for us as fans. But if City win the treble, does anyone care?
No, that's what I was thinking. City wins the treble. It's the most other than the World Cup, this is the most monumentous sporting achievement that you can achieve, especially in football. And nobody really gives a shit, right? At the end of the day, this is endemic of the times. What it is sad. It's like more so than anything, it's sad. It's like you look at that and you see this team that was built up by methodically spending money off and on the books. They have a top front office. I'll give them credit there. They built a hell of a club and they spent money well because we've shown.
No, get into the cheating. Let me just get into the cheating.
I will.
You don't need to compliment.
I'm going to give them the cheating. Both sides.
Just get to
two
the cheating.
sides
They're
to
cheaters.
a coin,
They're
my
cheaters.
friend.
They're cheaters.
They are cheaters. But
FFP
we have
ruining
shown
the game.
we have
The
shown
cheaters.
you that if we had a decent front office, we would be much closer to them than we are now. And we have pissed.
Yeah, but they cheated.
I'm gonna get there,
They
sir.
cheated.
They have cheated, but they've done better than PSG. PSG haven't won shit, and they have spent just as much amount of money.
Let's talk about the cheating
I'm gonna
first.
talk about the cheating.
Cheating
Just give
first.
me a chance.
Cheating first. Compliment.
They
cheating
paid
first.
players off the books. They pay their manager off the books. They falsified transfers. They falsified sponsorship revenue. And at the end of the day, they don't have the historical clout or the global fan base and awareness that anyone's going to show up and give a shit, right? Inter, they're a team of relevance. Good on them to get into the final. They actually outplayed City in the final, I would say. They should have won it, whereas in the FA Cup, I think they were there for the taking, but we didn't play well enough to give them a go, and we capitulated right in the first 15 seconds, and then the game was over. At the end of the day, nobody cares about Man City. Like Mika Richardson can dance his ass off and have a great time and laugh on CBS Sports, but nobody cares.
No,
Nobody
it's
cares.
horrible.
And this is the saddest thing: is it's endemic of sports washing over the last 2 decades. Ever since Chelsea got bought by basically Russia, then City came in less than a decade later. They built it up, and it's the same thing. You're going to see it with the Saudis now with Newcastle. You saw it with the Qatar World Cup. Who knows what's going to happen with Manchester United? Potential Qataris trying to buy us. And it sucks because the game is just dude, it's owned by nation states. And this is the way it is. UEFA, FIFA, FA. The FA is too late, bro. 115 charges. Like you said, they cheated for a decade. And this isn't even taking into account the last 4 years. And they're still cheating because fool me once, my friend. They're still cheating, of course. But the FA, it's too late, bro. They let in Chelsea. They let in City. They let in Newcastle. There's not going to be able to turn that money tide away. And in the end of the day, this is the new age of football. It's all about cash. It's all about boosting up, a sovereign somewhere, usually in the Middle East at the moment. And I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon because Saudis are going on a rampage trying to get the 2030 World Cup bid by building a football league in their own country with over-the-hill stars.
We're off to a hot one here at the American Red Devils podcast. We're going to talk about FFP, the last decade for United and Shitty on the other side of the PSA. But quick break here. If you like the American Red Devils, you want to support us, it's the summer doldrums. We're going to be covering all the transfer nonsense this summer, having a laugh, sweating it out in the podcast bunker with no AC. It's just a 8x8 room attached to Alex's garage, and we absolutely love having a laugh, getting together and talking about the club we love, and we're on our way back. We hope to do it the right way, sir. But if you want to support the podcast the right way, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/American Red Devils. It's like a tip jar. We do a behind-the-scenes episode every single month. Tons of benefits. Please check it out. Also, check out our website, AmericanRedDevils.com. Click on store while you're there. Grab some merch. Another great way to support us, sir. Tell them about iTunes reviews. You can subscribe to us on socials. Helps as well.
5-star reviews. Writing 5-star reviews, the American Devils podcast, wherever you listen. It's a great way to support the pod. Helps us get found organically, and we're giving away free merch. All you have to do is write a 5-star review of our podcast, the American Red Devils, wherever you listen, ideally on Spotify or iTunes, and send a screenshot of that review to AmericanDevils@gmail.com with your mailing address, and I'll personally pick, pack, and ship some free ARD gear sent right to your door anywhere in the world. We really appreciate it. Helps us get found organically. Don't have a review for you today, sir, but City. We talk about City more? World shrugging, no one caring.
No.
Holland, he didn't score.
No, I think we just got to hit on the point that
Nobody cares.
That nobody, no one cares they won the treble, unfortunately. But the bigger point around this is why the English media are so quiet about FFP and all the violations outstanding. I think it's really interesting that nobody's talking about They're like, oh, Pep Guardiola is the best. Holland's the best. Like, this team is the best. But nobody's talking about when they were acquired over the last decade. City didn't have the revenue to be able to spend the money that they spent over the last decade to acquire all these players. And essentially, all the violations to FFP are how they were able to inject cash by inflating sponsorship contracts, paying people off the books, as well as not presenting financials. So when you're a member of the Premier League, you actually have to present your books every season to be reviewed to make sure you're in compliance with the rules and regulations. And City have obfuscated and cooked the books and lied about everything. And also, this has been a 4-year investigation to get to the 115 violations. And oh, by the way, are they cooperating with that investigation?
Nope.
No, they're not. And all the investigation is based on the Der Spiegel leaks, which basically show them like wiring money from Abu Dhabi directly to the team because they're running at a deficit. Now, however you want to say, like maybe FFP isn't the best rule set, but it is the rule set to protect clubs from getting too much debt and then going bankrupt because that was a trend going on, and this was the reaction to it. So essentially what it also would do is if you have a team like City doesn't have the global appeal like United, you have to grow slow over time within the means of the club. City hijacked that, and they basically skipped to Manchester United's revenue level and made it up overnight. And they've been investing over the past decade. So the reason why this is such a big deal is they essentially skipped the right way, and they cheated to basically spend the money right away, invest in the team, invest in the coaches and the players, etc., to a tune that would violate the rules that govern the sport. Now, the problem is, for some reason, UEFA came too late to the party, and there was actually a statute of limitations. They wanted to ban them from the Champions League. The FA doesn't have that same rule. So the violations are going to cover, I think, 09 through 18, I want to say. And it's a long period of time. They clearly just had no regard for the rules. And what's incredible is if they have no regard for the rules and then they win the treble, then everyone's going to be like, okay, the last decade where they cheated rampantly to build this squad to win the treble, it's a direct result of them basically ignoring all the regulations in the league. It's a direct result of the 115 charges. They're not transparent. They're not coming forthright with their financials, etc. They're lying, and ultimately they're rewarded. And that's the most amazing part of that, is that there is no ramifications for cheating in sports. We've seen this in America with the Astros stealing signs, winning the World Series. Literally, they apologized, but they didn't have to say for what. They kept the World Series trophy.
It's on the sports. It's on the governing bodies.
The Patriots. I mean, there's probably a lot of Pats fans, but like, there's a lot of things in sport where cheating, it's clearly worth cheating. That's ultimately the point I'm trying to make, is that these rules, as they were set a decade ago, advantage United all the way. City broke all those rules. They made up all the ground, and here they are a decade in lifting that trophy. But there needs to be more said about how they did it, how it was the wrong way, and what is it doing to the game? What is it doing to the Premier League? Because I'm going to say things were a lot more even keel. United always had that lead because we had that commercial might. But I felt like there's much more competitive than it is right now when you're literally relying on like nation state wealth to get you to the next level. And that's just sad to see because, like you said, Abramovich came in, he proved out the case study, City, now Newcastle, now United, potentially.
United
then if it's not United, it's West Ham. And literally people are just waiting for sovereign wealth funds to buy their team so they could celebrate the treble, which kind of ruins the magic of it a little bit. I just have a bad feeling in my stomach when I see this. And I have a bad feeling in my stomach when all the journos and everyone only has positive things to say without questioning how Pep Guardiola was able to do it. And if it is a taint on his legacy as a manager because he needed to spend that much money and needed to break all these rules.
You made a lot of good points there, sir. And one of the big things to take away is that there's no punishment for Chelsea. They were breaking rules. Let's be honest with ourselves. There's no punishment for City. They were breaking rules. Probably rules weren't even in place by the time Chelsea got in. Then they put some rules in. Okay, let's try and stem this flow. But what you're seeing is because there are no punishments, this will not stop. This will only accelerate. People have shown that like by spending huge amounts of money on sporting events, teams, events, PIF, or not PIF, live, like with the golf, Qatar with the World Cup. You could buy a football team. You could turn it in from a nothing team like City, where they still have no fans. The fan zone before the friggin' Champions League final is the saddest thing I've ever seen. It was like the fan zone in Qatar on the surface of the sun. Never been to a place hotter with less shade and less water. But the flow won't stop. It's like they allowed Newcastle in, turned a blind eye. Basically, like the investment fund of Saudi Arabia bought Newcastle, and they're going to spend huge amounts of money and look to replicate exactly what City did. Right? It's like what great way to reinforce and freshen up your image than to buy a team in the most popular sports league for the most popular sport in the entire world, win everything, and then all of the pundits and all of the journos don't give a shit because like they're an inch deep and a mile wide. Like they don't do any kind of real deep analysis. They all follow the same flow. So all they're going to do is talk about how great this team is and how, they're better than United was when we won in 99. And that's not the point. 99, there was like heart to it. That was like a real story.
Well, that's
no one
why
will ever
everyone
win it
loves
like
this
we
game.
did. And there were 7 homegrown players in that squad playing and winning those 3 competitions in 11 days.
Not one in City's team.
Dude, Foden came in like off the bench when De Bruyne went down. But the point is like they have no heart. The game is losing heart, and it's accelerating. And
No, that's what I'm saying.
Scares
It's
me.
losing
It's
that.
accelerating.
It's losing that.
You go to the Qatar World Cup. That was a joyless World Cup. That is not where you host a World Cup with 300,000 people live in that country full time.
No, football has been headed in this direction for a long time. You look at Sepp Blatter, even the corruption in Rio, everything about the Russia, Qatar, like, oh my God. Then, the 2030 bid, don't get me started. They could go to the 100-year anniversary in Uruguay and Argentina, and they're definitely going to go to Saudi Arabia for the money. And that's just sad to see this sport, but it's all seeping in. And you and me fell in love with it. And I think it's just kind of like you have the old man on the porch a little bit. I think we're a little old man. We're numpties. We were young men when we got into it. Now we're old men on the porch because I'm sure in England at a certain time it was hyper localized, hyper passionate fan bases. Then you and me got into it. Right. And then the international started coming. And now you go and people are sick of the international people. When I went to games initially, it was like, oh, Americans like this? And like, absolutely. It was a novelty. And now tourism into the game is increased. So you and me kind of saying, hey, it's not that same hyper local passionate fan base because you're seeing the best team ever with no fans. And that makes no sense because back in the day, you had to have the fan base showing up, selling the tickets to give you the money to buy the players to win. And now you don't even need that because you just need a sovereign wealth fund to launder money into your club. And that's where that soulless element is, where like they're putting on these incredible footballing displays, lifting these trophies, and the fans aren't there. And that's just such a sad thing to see. This amazing sport, like you look at the 99 bus parade, you look at what it meant to everybody in Manchester, and you're going to see this soulless team match that achievement and not have anyone really care ultimately. And that's just, it's sad to see this in our game. Like you watch Barcelona do the same thing in Spain and it like what it means to everyone in Catalonia and what City does here. It's more of a check the box for Pep. It's more of a check the box for Holland. It's a stop on his individual tour. There is no, like you said, the 7 academy lads in the team. You don't have that feeling at City. It just feels very vapid.
It does. And it's a state of the times, which is the saddest thing at all. Just like money washes over everything. And that's the worst part is that like I do feel like an old man now. We are. All right, get off your fucking soapbox. Get off the porch, old man. And just realize that this is the day and the time we live in. And I guess in 10 years from now, 20 years from now, it will probably only be sovereigns at the top of the game. Like you would think like United could get bought by Qatar in the next weeks and months.
No, they're going to get sick of this. They're going to get sick. I mean, because you can't sustain
It'll already be
this.
another region. Like you go from, remember it used to be China, and then obviously the Middle East got really hot in the last decade.
So that's a whole nother.
And then it could be, I don't know.
No, so you're absolutely correct. This whole like moving to Saudi Arabia, that's like China.
It's the new China. Remember when Fellaini went to China for huge money and like Hulk and all those guys?
That literally doesn't work. It didn't work in China. It won't work in Saudi Arabia. You look at the MLS. The MLS model is definitely more organic. It's more of a CONCACAF, talent. I would say like you could basically build up talent in CONCACAF as well as, getting some all-stars from Europe. And that's definitely the business model of the MLS. It's not my cup of tea, but there is a demand for that, right? And I don't think there's a demand for playing on the surface of the sun.
No.
And there won't be. And you look at what happened in China with all the big spending, that will go away. And it's going to be interesting to see how it goes through the market. But you're literally seeing like Benzema's gone from Madrid up. They're just pipping.
Conte? There goes Conte.
Yeah, it's
there
like you're seeing it, and it's going to be really funny because that never works. Now,
but you know
what happens with City
it's
in another
one-off.
10 years?
Right.
So what happens with City over the long term if they don't have they're trying to create that international fan base, and I feel like everyone's trying to hype up clubs like this for like a long period of time to see if they can get there. I don't know. I kind of feel like United is going nowhere. You know, we're an institution worldwide. I feel like City can kind of hit that sugar high. They come up for 10 years, and then Pep Guardiola leaves, and then it's all kind of back to nothing. And then how are you going to appease these City fans in the stands when you just win a league or two? When they want like trebles, they want more Champions Leagues. I honestly think Pep Guardiola, with unlimited monies and like the best player in the world, he's a very good manager. Short of that, he can't do nothing. Look at Bayern Munich. Look at every other place he's been. He knows that, so he's going to get it in at City, and we're going to hope he leaves as soon as possible.
He's going to try and stack as many Champions Leagues as possible. Try and match the Zidane record. Try to win 3 in a row, like for sure. He's going to try and stack the big one, the biggest. But dude, he's a great manager. He's probably the best manager working today. But there's no comparison with him and Fergie. He literally inherited the greatest club team of all time. Didn't have to build it. Had like Xavi, Iniesta, and Messi at their fucking peak. Not even like think about it. Messi had 15 years of peak, and then went to Bayern. Had an unbelievable team. Couldn't win anything besides the Bundesliga. And then went to City and got every player he ever needed. Still couldn't do it, and got the greatest striker of the modern era in Erling Haaland. And he doesn't even need Haaland to score a goal, bro. He has Rodri score it. And it is what it is. And it's like the thing of the day is like, who are they going to get fans out of? I guess like the argument is the young kids are going to want to root for the best team in the world. And I do understand that. Obviously, when you and I became fans, it wasn't only because United were the best team in the world, but it didn't hurt because they were on TV. You have to be on TV, and now everyone's on TV. But like, I don't think they're gonna be dads gonna be like, yeah, be a City fan. Like, it's just like I don't see it.
You can
because
sleep outside.
Arsenal, Liverpool, United, even little Spurs. It's like they have fans, they have adults, they have
As
middle
much as
age,
we
they have
hate on
youngins.
Arsenal, yeah.
No, but I'm just trying to like there are fans. You meet people in the flesh who are actually fans of Chelsea and all these clubs, and you don't meet anyone who's a fan of City. I don't know anybody who roots for that team. And apparently the most valuable team in the world, as just reported last week. So.
I mean, that's all.
Let them have it, bro.
You know,
it's all phony.
How much did they pay the journo to write that one, sir? But look, this isn't a Man Shitty podcast, but they are noisy neighbors. It has been a decade of cheating. It did culminate in the treble, which matches United's arguably greatest achievement, or one of our greatest achievements. I think 20 times. You can stack that up there. And, it has to be addressed. We're not going to talk about it the rest of the summer. We're going to focus in-house on Manchester United. You know how I think about Astros FC, giving the big middle finger to them all summer long. And we always love kicking a blue, sir. So let's get into some United news. We got some muppetry to get to.
Get ready for this sound.
United in the news!
A lot of this summer.
Oh, it still
Muppetry.
stings. That treble stings, sir.
Well, because we should have given him a go in the FA Cup, and they actually got outplayed in the final yesterday. Like Inter should have scored,
dude.
No, they're very good. They're very good.
It was really,
but we should have given him a go, and we just like fucking capitulated in the first 15 seconds.
That's what kills me is that we should have
like gone toe to toe. If we played our best,
it would have been like all-time banter moment, and we just
bottled. Who's getting bantered now?
Right.
Who's getting bantered now? Are you ready for the sale to be done? Because I certainly am.
Look, we tweeted it. I said it. It's going to take longer than you think. It's going to be more convoluted, and you're not going to know anything because everything's being decided behind closed doors by the Rain Group. Latest here from Michael Keegan. Lawyers for both Qatar and Sir Jim Ratcliffe bids are finalizing deal details with the Rain Group. Sir Jim and his team had thought... I think Sir Jim and his team thought they lost, but now I believe they're in the game through a breakthrough. I mean, this is just all BS. At the end of the day...
Tell me what you really think, John.
No. So that wasn't Sir Jim. I think Sheikh Hassim, they had thought they had lost, but now believe they're in the game.
It's going back and forth and back and forth.
I think this is the classic, like... And again, having done this profession before, this is the classic, like... Literally, you're pulling rabbits out of a hat, being like, "Oh, there's
got
still
offers.
a chance if you do this,"
Yeah,
and then and they see where they're. It's just like they're stringing them along. They want the big cash bid. It's just basically trying to get the most out of the seek and running that in parallel. And so it makes sense when you have two final bids to be running out these terms, which there's a lot of them, in parallel. And the number one thing you got to talk to about this deal process, and this is the one thing that highlights number one to me, is M&A is a relationship game. It's a relationship game, and you got photos of Sir Jim walking in OT, shaking hands and sitting down and telling the Glazers and the board, by the way, what he is going to do. And then you have this guy who has one photo ever, speaking through some handlers, and it's like,
he didn't go to OT.
No, of course, but that's my point, is that, and this is the difference between West and East. So at the end of the day, in the West, business is done face-to-face with handshakes, and I feel like that's why when you're going to sell an asset like this, you're about to enter a 6 to 9 month period where you're going to close the transaction, right? People think like it's just an auction and it's over. It's like, no, you actually agree to terms, and then there's a 6 to 9 month closing period to basically like finalize the working capital account, figure out they have to set up the new entity, all this stuff, depending on how the deal looks. It's a lot of work to do, a lot of papers for lawyers, a lot of things for accountants to do. And it takes a long time. This is actually like the closing of the transaction, and you negotiate all the terms of how you're going to close it up front. And there is an element of trust during the process of closing it. And so if Sir Jim's in town and he's shaking their hand and he's telling them how he's going to do it, and he's really amped on the bid, that's going to sway it to him. Because you have to think that every deal the Glazers have done before is done in that manner. And then you have someone who is basically putting a number on a paper, isn't around, working through middlemen. I think that's why you saw the PSG rumor as well. They're trying to get a back channel, trying to understand where this guy stands. And if United is trying to get an idea of where he stands, that tells you they don't know.
Yeah.
If it's real. So I think there's an element of that as well, and that would advantage Ratcliffe. That's probably why you're hearing more about Ratcliffe's bid. And who knows what the Glazers want, because, again, it's behind closed doors, and I'm just giving that example of how deal-making is done and how you could have a foreign wealth fund with not a lot of color to it. It could seem cold, and that might be advantage Ratcliffe.
Yeah, I don't know if it's more of an East versus West argument. I think it's more of like this guy is just a face for Qatar, right? Like, he's the dude they identified. He is a high-ranking dude in one of the funds or whatever, had a job before managing money or natural gas and is worth a shit ton. But vis-a-vis, he's a proxy for the government in their bid to buy Manchester United. So, like, he doesn't need to go because he's probably not that involved. He's just like the dude. He's the guy who's going to be the face of the org, just like Al Khalfia, the guy at PSG, is the face for that org vis-a-vis the government. So it's like the same thing. He's just the dude in front. And that's why he hasn't been shown around. But this is just the posturing. So they got two bids. You know it. You were in the game. You just play the two bids off each other to get the most money possible out, because that's the objective of a seller. They're always going to get the most money. They don't care what happens to the entity after the fact, unless, they have a partial ownership, then they would care. But I would imagine the Glazers, I can see them wanting to stay around. We don't need to talk about that. But this is just what we could have expected. It is now June. We've been talking about this since when? January, and it ain't even close to being settled yet. So everyone hoping
for the course. Everyone's saying
hoping that this would be settled before the summer. It's not. We're gonna have another bad summer with the Paella brothers like fumbling, rumbling, stumbling through Europe. Like, wow, let's sell Dean Henderson and then buy Pickford for a loss. It's like, damn, dude, what a team.
Don't get me in that.
I didn't even put it in the agenda, sir. I didn't even put the Pickford news in the agenda because I knew, I don't want to ruffle feathers too much.
You want to know?
I don't want to throw too much at you.
You want to know the difference between Man City and United over the last decade?
No Pickford, bro.
We're interested in Pickford. That's all you need to know.
And they're about to pick up Djokovic for like nothing.
Somebody somewhere is working at Manchester United and thinks signing Jordan Pickford is going to make us win the title. That is insanity. That's like literally.
I'm hoping it's
sign
fake.
a guy I've never heard of. Sign a guy I've never heard of.
You've heard of him.
No, but I'm saying like
you better be. You better.
I'd be like, okay. We can't sign that Costa guy that just sprays the ball for
so
like
good.
in Portugal and he's like really great. Like, we can't sign that guy. Okay, just sign like a nobody land, like nobody. Like, give me that for 500 here on the podcast. This whole sale process, we'll wrap it up. We're gonna
We'll wrap it. We're gonna talk about this all summer. By the way,
the last point I'm gonna make is like the people on Twitter trying to add up the value of the Qatar bid when they're like being like, well, they say they want to invest $1 billion after they buy them, so then it's actually more money, and be like, you know how much that's worth after they buy it? It's nothing.
It's like saying zero. I sell my house for $1 million, and the new people are going to put in 100,000.
Exactly.
So
I'm going to be really concerned
like, no,
about. I'm really worried about how the kitchen looks after I sell the house. That's like, and it's like, it's called enterprise value. That's how it's evaluated. You know, it takes into account the debt and cash on the asset. That's how it's going to be tabulated. That's how it's going to be calculated. And any money or investment promises after the club, and also fans should know any promises made now,
right, are promises.
It's just they're nothing.
How many promises did the Blazers make? How many promises did they make 2 decades ago when they came into United? A shit ton, and they follow up with it. So absolutely none of them.
Just be patient. We got some better news. We can get into here. We got the kit, Manchester United kit launch. You gotta be. Look at that color. You're too harsh on the kit.
Look at that color. Team viewer.
So let's get into it first.
Can I rip it? I gotta rip it.
No, we gotta say, okay, there's 3 kits. The one thing I'm gonna say all 3 have in common is the Team Viewer logo got bigger. It's better than Chevrolet all day. It is.
Because the color.
It devalues the brand because Team Viewer isn't like, it should be something like
Google.
Like
Amazon.
Like Tesla would be a cool logo on the front of the.
No one's ever heard of Team Viewer. We both work in tech. We both live in California. I have still never heard Team Viewer mentioned once.
European Zoom, from what I
know, but I've heard of fucking.
It's a European football club. You know.
What'd you say?
It's a European football club.
It's a global football club. I know.
Oh, I know, but you know what I mean. Like, but it's unfortunately it's like a localized.
Yeah, but like it's called the internet age. Like they're using like systems across. You know, it's not like in Europe you have to use European tech. I'm pretty sure they're using. No,
it was a reach for them.
It
was actually a highlight that the front of United's shirt is not worth that much anymore. That's really the problem.
And it was a COVID deal, right? It was like their revenue. I mean, their stock price was like way boosted because of the meme stock boom and low interest rates. And then like their stock has gotten annihilated. And I bet if they could get out of the deal today, they would.
All right. Rank the home kit out of 10. You're talking about the red with the black shoulder stripes. Rank it out of 10. What do you got for me?
4.5. I really don't like it. I don't like the collar. I think it looks cheap. I don't like the roses. I get the War of the Roses. I think that's cool, but I think it just looks like. It looks like the kind of like the gowns they give you in hospital.
It's got curtains.
Like a hospital. It's got like a hospital gown.
It's got bad curtains or
it's
carpet
shitty.
vibe.
It's
I
shitty
do
looking.
agree.
It looked cheap.
I was gonna say 7, but given that I just saw the curtain vibe, I'm gonna
look at it.
I'm gonna go 6, and that's just probably being like a little salty because. You know, keep it simple. I feel like last season's home jersey with the white collar,
that was
red.
Cool. I like that.
Yeah, that's a 7. You know, it's like you didn't do it. You didn't go for it. You didn't get anything, but you didn't like screw it up. This one is probably. There's a few design elements. Like if they didn't have the rose pattern, I'd give it a 7.
Yeah, it'd be better.
If they didn't have the white on the collar, I'd give it a 7.
All black collar would be better.
They're doing a little too much. I think that's maybe a little busy. Now let's
Team Viewer a little smaller. Maybe shrink the Team Viewer to get bigger. Okay. Like that is definitely a fact. Measure the Team Viewer.
Now we're going third team. This is Peppermint Patty FC. Poor Malacia, who's got to model this one.
Look how happy he looks, though.
I don't know if this is foreshadowing.
You
for
rate it
upcoming
first.
season.
Explain it first.
This is a 0. This is a 0. Like this is negative. This is literally like
doesn't even make sense.
I have
green.
It's like
big,
like
thick green stripes with thin white stripes with a red little undertone. It doesn't look like a Manchester United kit.
If it was just green,
it'd be cool. Too much. It's busy as fuck. Look at that. Like the shoulders are all busy. I give it a 0.5.
Worst kit. I like no joke. This is the worst United kit I've ever seen.
It will be. I think it would be like a sleeper kit where it'll grow on people. Like this will be like
even the
the zebra one. Like this would be like the zebra one.
Like the neon.
You love it.
Like the zebra one was great. The neon green one that like in a little while.
We panned it when this
even the pink one with the Chevrolet wasn't
cool.
bad.
Nice pink. This is the best of the lot. I think this is the best of the lot.
We're going away with the white, the red devil instead of the badge. I don't like that.
No, neither.
So just two. This one's like super simple white.
I like a white kit.
Maybe a cream. Is it a cream? Is it a white? I don't know.
Cream.
Is it?
What do you rate it? Should I go first?
You can go.
I like this one more. I think this is my favorite of the three because at least it's clean. I do like a white kit. It reminds me of that RVP kit. Obviously, that had a sick collar, and it's clean. I don't, I kind of get like, drop the logo, just do the devil. I guess that's okay for a third kit. So I give this like a 6.5. Like I actually kind of like this.
6.5.
This is my favorite of the bunch by far. But I mean,
the problem for me is you want to go minimalist on the kit, but then you got the wonky team viewer.
I know that,
and that kind of kills it. So it's
does.
I just don't really. The team viewer is too big to like it because if the Red Devil was more pronounced, 4.5. This is not one you're not going to remember. This is not a kit you're going to remember. It's not going to be like. This one is just nothing. This is nothing. They got nothing, dude. Like you could literally go on Twitter and be like, "Hey, AI, hey, design me some kits, Manchester United fans," and you would get like amazing kits. You would get like phenomenal designs, and like you should literally make that the third team every year, and you would just get insane designs. And
is that a good idea? What a fun idea that'd be! Like if fans submitted,
they did that. One season and they got that gray
one,
kit,
which is horrible.
The Matic winner. But that was a bad one they picked. But I like the idea. But let's get into transfer news here. People will care about this more. You want to run us through? You're the number one Muppet reading.
Number one Muppet. There's a lot of news, and we get all of it always. You guys are not new. This is not your first rodeo hanging out with the American Devils at a Muppetry window. And if it is, welcome to the party, pals. There's gonna be a lot of noise. We're gonna be attached to everybody. There's even less reason to grab a hold of that rumor because we're in the middle of a sale. So we don't know like if there's even been a budget given to, the Paille brothers and Eric Ten Hag. Maybe they have given a budget. Maybe they're slow rolling sale. I don't know. We know even less than we normally do, but we do know that we want Harry Kane. It makes sense. We need a number 9. That's the number one thing we need heading into next season. And we need someone who can come and score goals in the EPL today because this is a team built to win today. We've got a lot of our players at the peak. So Harry Kane will fit the profile very well. The latest we're hearing is that Daniel Levy is digging his heels in. Kane wants to sell. Kane wants to come to United. He wants to stay in England. He wants to beat Alan Shearer's record, and he also wants to win shit. He would win shit at Manchester United, and he would definitely break that record over 4 years, like without a doubt, because his goal scoring record.
Carabao Cup chance, baby.
Exactly. He'd take it though, bro. He would take one of those.
Carabao Cup, baby.
When you've won nothing, you would take an EFL Cup.
Can't take that away from us.
So what we're hearing is that Levy won't sell to United. End of. Doesn't want to make us stronger. He can leave for free in a year. Now, the rumors are starting to pick up. Maybe he'll go to Real Madrid, but Kane does not want to go to Real Madrid.
He's not going to Madrid.
He wants to stay in England.
At Tottenham. Listen,
he hasn't won anything. He wants to win at least the goal scoring record.
Season. I said it.
Which is advantage United, which is actually the one thing we have going for us is no one else needs a number 9 in the league as much as we do.
There's nothing going for us here. This is dead.
There's always something
dead. Look, this is dead on arrival.
Next summer we'll get it for free, baby.
Here's the deal.
That would be the move.
Levy, I said it like months ago talking about this Kane. Because Kane, you and me, I forget, it was international break, we're talking about who should United sign. I think Kane it's just like the skies open up. He's the only one left. He wants United. He wants to stay at England. Everything says United. Last year, the deal should come, $80 million. Do the deal, put on the credit card, pay overtime, no money down. You know how we do
Buy
it.
now, pay later, baby. Let's go.
And Levy came out like, pay me £1 billion. Like, and then you're like, all right, dude, like, we'll get lost. And that's it. It's over. It's like I thought Levy, he made him stay. He fought off City. Okay. He can run a hard bargain, get like $80 million and move on. And he does not want to do that. So the only thing is like, could you get Magoo plus $70 million? Like, everything
50?
is an angle with Levy, and you're just got to pay over the odds. So it's similar to the Antony deal that we did last summer. Anytime you're in you have to pay over the odds to get him situation, it's like the Numpty brothers and all United fans should be like alarm bells every time we pay over the odds. It goes horribly.
Yep,
like
correct.
Paul Pogba, Lukaku, Di Maria, Sanchez.
Keep going.
Sancho.
Falcao. Keep going.
Like Sancho.
Keep going.
Anthony.
He's
on the list.
They had a new deal.
Keep like going. Everybody, but anytime we're paying over, it's like, no, don't do it. And so we know better. So if you're in a Levy, pay over the odds to get Harry Kane, you don't do it. We're not. This summer is going to be I'm already recalibrating, unfortunately. I feel like I'm in the movie where everyone is like, every summer we're like, we need to sign 3 players and we can compete for the title. No, we're not.
We're years.
We're not going to compete for the title.
No, we're not.
I think this
Record this
season,
now. Take note of the time on the pod, because I want you to
Note the time.
Listen this back to yourself in a couple months when we do like the preview of next
We're gonna
season.
win. We're going to win
everything.
Well, that's because you get excited.
I know, because we'll sign somebody.
That's because we're the numpties. We're not the experts, but I'm saying that the expectation is the sale process is going to destroy our summer. You're not going to be able to make a move at 9 that's going to be able to get us there. If you're lucky, you could get that young Danish kid, but he ain't going to be the guy. You're literally going to have most likely you're going to have Rashford, Martial, I kid you not, and probably that youngster. Yeah. And then if you're lucky, you get like a lone guy, like insert Arnautovic comp here. Our Wout Weghorst.
I'll tell you what, we should have gotten Arnautovic. I know Arnautovic had a lot of hair on him, but he would have scored goals.
No, I know, but that's really goals. You can see where we're headed, and so this is going to be more of a treading the water type of window,
correct?
Because of the sale,
correct.
And unfortunately for United fans, that means we don't get the Kane, we don't get to push on, we don't get sort of that next level. But that could be good for our manager, because when you're treading water, you got to get rid of some guys and you got to get other guys in. So could you get rid of Magoo? Could you get another center back in? Could he turn good? Could the managers get more time to make it his United team? If you think of this season, him going through the Ronaldo drama, all this stuff, he's going to flip the card on Sancho. Is he real? Is he not? I think there's a lot of stuff and decisions behind the scenes that are going to be made this next year. And so he might be trading water in the top 4, 4th, 3rd. I just think that without a solid 300, clean it out, get them
proper
in
front
type
office,
of move,
selling players, buying players.
We're not going to get that. And
no,
so if we're not going to get that, it's going to be more of this treading the water. And speaking of treading water, Manchester United star Harry Magoo, self-admitted star for Manchester United, even though he doesn't play and doesn't play well for Manchester United, and we want to sell him, does not want to leave. Tottenham's interested. That's a riot. Sell him to Tottenham. And then he doesn't want to go. What do you make of Harry Magoo? What does it say about Harry Magoo? He wants to stay at Manchester United. I think that's just
posturing, being like, I could, he's delusional. Anytime you listen to an interview with him during international break or when they're dumb enough at MUTV to give him the mic, he says the stupidest shit and puts I actually feel bad for the guy. He has such little introspection.
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness, that's the right word, sir. A little foggy. That he says the dumbest shit of all time. The dumbest shit. Well, I'm the captain of Manchester United, and therefore I gotta be good. He is an idiot. Wish him well, but he's just trying to save face. I'm good enough to play Manchester United. It's not my fault. I don't know if they're going to move to Spurs. I don't want to play in. I don't know.
Ole got sacked, and he was a photo of him out.
He's he's a numpty. So you know what? Sell him now. There's value for him. Tottenham need a center back. He would do okay at Tottenham. He'd do better in mid-level. I think he's a West Ham guy, all day.
No, I think Tottenham's perfect. London, England. It just can't.
You could do it with the Kane deal, 50 plus Magoo. You got a deal,
you're
bro.
Not.
That is a good deal.
The
problem is Levy wants to always act like he made the right decision. He never wants to look like a fool in the press. But if you watch the Amazon Prime thing, he looks like a fool, bro. They sacked Mourinho a week before a final, so they have to pay him a bonus if they won that final, and they haven't won a piece of silverware since 2007, bro.
No, I understand that everything he does is stupid, but at the end of the day, he's probably thinking how am I going to sell tickets? I bet you it's how am I going to sell tickets if I don't have Harry Kane?
That's a good point.
I really think that he's literally thinking of the money. I think
Tim and Son, right? That's it.
United realistically is going to give you 70, 80 million, but Harry Kane not playing for Tottenham anymore, that's probably hurts their valuation more than that. Yeah. And it gives them another year to figure out what to do next. I don't know.
Who you want then?
Tottenham's not a club without Harry Kane.
That's a very good point, because they don't even they weren't even a relevant club before Harry Kane, right? And then the Harry Kane, Son, Pochettino era,
Give
that
me
kind of put them on the board.
Lukaku on a diet, bro. Lukaku on a diet. I'll take.
He scored how many goals he scored for us now? First year, 25. He had a solid year. He would score goals in this team, but
the curse of United. The curse of United.
We haven't signed a striker since then.
The curse of Sir Alex Ferguson's past is that we always relied on ruthless strikers. We had them in droves, And we have not had one. We have not been signing them since he left. We have not made it a priority to sign. We've signed wingers. That hasn't gone well. We have not signed like
Killers.
Boss number 9s. It's not been a priority at United. It's always been United and how we won. And we always had a lot of them, a lot of options. 3, maybe 4. You got to be switching it up.
Elite ones, too.
Exactly.
Not like bums.
But like we would take Chicharito.
No, we would have signed.
We would have
signed Vardy. Like Vardy would have gotten
Vardy was
pulled
a
out that
perfect
team.
deal.
We would have gotten Holland, right? Because we would have been on our front toes, not let him go to RB. We would, name your list, bro.
Needing a
we
striker
would
is a
have
tough
Julian
game.
Alvarez in our team. He wanted to come to United, 14 million pounds. We would have Moise Caicedo. He wanted to come to our team, $5.5 million. This is the problem. This is like the whole analogy to City. It's like City, they're cheating bastards, but they have spent it well. Like we could be so much further ahead if we didn't have idiots in charge.
No, but the
And we
Scouts
still have idiots in
bastards
charge.
never replaced Suarez. They never they
did last summer.
But it was so difficult for them to replace Torres, right? And then
not
they
till
got
Salah,
Suarez, and then because they went Suarez, who is that?
Andy Carroll,
Andy
maybe.
Carroll. It's once you start losing the number 9 game, it's tough to get him back, and you gotta fire blanks. You gotta be like poof, like Anthony. Oh, that's.
I think Fergie knew that. Like there was no better way to push your team to the next level than picking up a big striker. Like he did that in 93, 92 with Cantona.
Exactly.
He did that with the 99 team because he had fucking Yorkie,
RVP,
Cole,
and
Sheringham,
finished with RVP.
and Solskjaer, bro. Like he did it again in 09, 08 team when we had Tevez, Rooney, Ronaldo, then both Tevez and Ronaldo obviously left, so you pick up Berbatov, and then you get RVP, and RVP was the difference. That's the reason we won the title. So it's like nobody who's running this club has any idea what they're doing, so they just sign like, oh, this like big name winger from Europe, and we'll give him £350,000 a week, and we'll never be able to sell him ever. So I think we have to get back to basics and just get scrappy, hungry, hardworking players starting at number 9 because we are so behind the 8 ball there. Like you said, we should have 3 solid options, one of which is an elite player. And the best, Rashford's elite, but he's better on the wing.
No, but as a director of football, he has to play on the left. And it's like, that's the problem.
He's so good on the left.
And this is the problem with United. Like, he can play on the left. He can play at number 9. Like, what are we doing? I don't know. Sometimes we need him. Sometimes put Sancho out there. We, never have a game plan. And it's also confusing for Rashford where if, he's going to commit the rest of his career to be a 9. Then do that, and then let's have the guy at left wing, but we don't. So we always are switching, chopping, changing, and from a DOF perspective, if you're chopping and changing at the director's box, then you're chopping and changing on the manager's touch line, and it just goes down the field, and how are you ever going to beat the cities of the world when you don't even have the roster to do so? Next one here, this one, Kim Min-jae, you are all about this one. Napoli's offered him a new deal. PSG's on top of it. Apparently he has a nice release clause.
Yep.
People are saying United have it. I have not watched the highlight video, Defender highlight videos. Newsflash, not that exciting. But you seem to rate him. Big head.
Big head.
Harry Magoo, big head. Didn't go well. So you think we need another big head?
A big head alone does not mean you can't play fucking football.
No, I'm just saying.
Big fucking head.
This is the analysis you're not going to get at other podcasts.
Nemanja Vidic, big fucking head.
Big head. Small head, but he played like he had a big head.
It looked like a pretty big from where we were sitting. But here's the deal. This is not the first priority, but if you do sell Harry Maguire, which you should this summer, that would make sense. Free up 30, 40 million, plus get him off the books, plus free up a spot. We need another center back. Varane can't play every week. He's going to get injured. So you need someone that's going to be the long-term option with our boy, Lisandro Martinez. I really like Kim Min-jae. He's a hell of a passer. He's a little bit he's got a dog in him. I've watched a little bit of Napoli just when they were in the Champions League, and he's an excellent passer. You could see exactly why our manager would want him because he's really good at playing a high line and passing the ball from the back, like left foot, right foot, no problem. We're also being attached to this kid as a backup option at Monaco, Axel Disasi, who's younger, less well-proven, kind of a cheaper option, but the buyout clause, like I said, it's £42 million. It's only effective for the first 2 weeks of July. But everything with the sale makes me lose confidence that this is going to be a write-off summer. Even compared to this will be worse than last summer because last summer they had a point to prove. This summer they're just going through the motions as they try to sell the club. So it could be in a position where they sell the club or even pick a lead horse towards the end of the window and it's too late and he's been given no time and we could be just whittling in the wind, and this is another write-off season. And last year went a lot better than we thought it would. I think we have to give this manager and this team and our own mental fortitude time and space to.
I mean, the season
because this season it did go.
Went
yeah,
well. I don't know about the
paper.
transfer business. I didn't like that. There's a lot of money, and I don't think you spend $280.
No, we overpaid. We overpaid. We got some good players.
That was like, we got some good players. We got some good players, but it was the Anthony deal that taste. Ugh.
I know, but
Taste it today.
that wasn't the only bad. Like we also
Souring, too.
We also overpaid for Casemiro. We overpaid for Anthony.
No, but overpaying for Casemiro is not.
Well, it is when he's 31.
No, but he's like. I would argue he had half.
It matters when you
signing. He was like signing of the season for a half of the season. Unfortunately,
yeah. When you spend $20 million over on a player, that's $20 million
but
you can spend on two players.
This summer.
I'm just making a point that like you spend 75 instead of 55 on Casemiro. Well, that extra 20 is enough to buy Moise Caicedo and Julian Alvarez when they wanted to come to Manchester United before they joined the two clubs that are out today. So it's like if you're actually on your front toes and making deals and know what you're doing and like have your elbows out in the transfer window, you can make money go pretty far. It's just like the people running this club are dumb, and until they get
it's
thrown
just
out the
too
back door,
hard. It's like
we're gonna continue to flounder, bro.
Everything we do is too difficult. It was too slow. We're too slow
exactly.
to react.
Overpaid.
Too slow to get
We're so
deals.
obvious.
Like the Mason Mount, Chelsea won $70 million. Like this is like
a joke.
Two things I just see on the Twitter timeline pop up. I saw Pickford like literally laughing out loud, like just like cracking up.
You laughing out loud, or Pickford himself is laughing at you?
Me laughing at like this is what we got. Like this is where we're like.
Jesus Christ.
Mason Mount. I just like cracking up at this one. You're gonna pay $50 million for Mason. We went through the stats on the last podcast. It's absolutely insanity. Look, if you're gonna be buying Pickford and Mason Mount. We need to be going.
This guy's like, I'm good.
We need to be going. What was the?
I think a season off.
There was that commercial where they had
good,
where they're like, the commercial was basically like United fans having to watch us play like bad games because like we had to realize we're not as good as we used to be.
Oh yeah, like the Paddy
and, like,
Power
this Mason
commercial.
Mount, like Jordan Pickford has like
God.
Scouse Bastards like 2006 transfer strategy all over it. It's like Andy Carroll
Yeah.
all over it.
Yeah.
It's like Andy Carroll at least was like scoring bangers at Newcastle. Mason Mount isn't even playing at Chelsea, and it's like
he's worth like 30. Last year's
like
contract.
Pulisic is so like undervalued.
He's
though.
not good either, bro. He's always injured. He's not consistent.
I know you don't. For some reason, you're American. You don't rate him, but my point is, there's value there.
Mount's better than
you
Pulisic.
could get Pulisic for $20 million. There's some value.
You
You're
could get
paying over the value has to be taken into account, and like Mason Mount. £30 million player
30.
paying 60, not a good deal. And that's where United have been done over the last decade is overpaying, aka burning that money in the Paella brothers stove, sir. We don't have any fan questions. It's been a hell of a week for work for me and Alex. We're just trying to get the pod up. It's punctual as always. The transfer muppetry, the news, the kit, the treble, unfortunately. But look, that's it. It's been a real podcast. You want to support the America Devils? Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/AmericaRedDevils, AmericaRedDevils.com. Click on store, check out our merchandise as well, sir. Give us our top 10 cities last 7 days.
Number one, how you doing? Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, California, New York, Charlotte, North Carolina, Toronto, Canada, Melbourne, Australia, Dublin, Ireland, Dallas, Texas, San Francisco, California, and last but not least, Brooklyn, New York. Appreciate all the America Devils listening week in, week out. We couldn't have done without you. Appreciate all of y'all. It was a hell of a season. We're going to have a hell of a summer. I'll tell you that right now. And remember this as they enjoy their treble. I can't wait to see the parade, bro. I can't wait to see the parade through Manchester with a sea of blue. Not going to happen. But remember, at the end of the day, it's Manchester United and everybody else against the world.
Nation sing.